Hello, and welcome to the Pit Pony podcast with myself, Sharon Cawley,
and me, Sarah Dunwood,
in which we talk to teachers from all walks of life who exited the classroom from what they thought was a job for life and thrived on the other side of teaching.
Thank you for staying with us, Leanne, for part 2. I should imagine people have had to go and make a brew after they've listened to all of that. Fantastic. So, the hangover's lifted. You've been released. You've used the semantic field that so many of our guests do. I've escaped. I was released. I was put on parole. You've talked about this studies. Now, I think if memory serves me right, you grasp onto this idea that you're going to do a master's. It sanitizes your reason for leaving because you're not leaving because you're being bullied. You're not leaving to go to another school. Leanne's going to pursue psycholinguistics.
Yeah.
Talk us through your decision to book onto a master's when you couldn't even spell the title of the master's course.
Didn't even know what it was. Well, that all stemmed from, I remember going to a speech and language course, and the lady that delivered it was really inspirational. I remember thinking, I'd love to do something like that. I really would. But obviously to train, it's quite long and it's quite expensive. So I did some research, and my husband and myself, we found psycholinguistics, and it ticked many boxes similar to speech and language. And I went to the open day, I chatted to the lecturers, and I thought, oh, this sounds really, really interesting. It was the study and the history of language and how it came about. And I love phonics as well. Like, I used to specialize in phonics, and I thought this is really up my street. So I applied mid-September, literally 2 weeks after I started, applied mid-September, got my place in the October to start the following October. So I was pretty much learning on the job. It was just, from the get-go, it was just rapid learning. I loved it though. I really, really loved it. And I did a research paper actually on teaching, funnily enough, because I had my teaching background. So I really used that in the course to help me. And my tutor at the time, my dissertation tutor, said it was the first thesis in that area that's ever been done.
Wow.
So it gave me such a boost as well. And I just loved academics, and I loved learning as well. So it was nice for me to take a step back and be a student as well, and just learn and just grasp a completely different area. And it's an area alien to me as well. So yeah, and then somehow I got a distinction. No idea how.
Well, but would you say that there's a pattern emerging here? Because after the second toxic school with the mean girls, you healed within the education.
I did, yeah.
After the multi-academy trust, you still healed again within an educational environment.
Yeah.
How was it when you came out and started that master's? Because I know you were burnt out. I know you were stressed. I know you were anxious. How did that physically and emotionally manifest itself after you'd left?
It was like a huge weight had lifted off my shoulders. And of course, you have the financial worry as well. But we'd done our sums, and good old Pit Pony as well. You gave me inspiration, ladies. And it was, I can do it. This is before COVID hit as well. So I'd secured myself student loan. I'd got a job as an activity leader in the holidays as well. And I thought I could tutor, I can supply, I can do all those bits and pieces. I was just relieved. I was relieved to start a new chapter, to take a step back. And I thought, the thing is, I still love teaching. I love the magic of those little kids. And I thought I need to step back now before I resent the whole profession. And I'm so glad I did. So it gave me a whole new lease of life, as much as I was exhausted. And it was a little bit of, like you say, PTSD as well, when you think back at what you've gone through. But it was really a chance to start again and a new chapter. And that was just, the relief was second to none doing that.
Yeah. And it sounds like you've got a supportive husband, and that always helps. So you do this, it's an intense 1-year course, your master's, but I think it was the stepping stone you needed to get out. Now, at this point, some pit ponies go, feeling a bit better. I've had 2 good experiences, 2 bad experiences. I'm going back in. Because don't forget, the 6-year-old who'd got a chalkboard out in front of a Teddy's. You've decided you are not going back into education at this point.
No. It was originally going to be a year out, do my master's, then I'll move on and go to a different school and teach somewhere else. But it just happened one night. I was scrolling through social media on a Facebook group, and I found an advert for a job for teacher content creators. And during lockdown, I had started producing my own teaching videos, bedtime stories, puppetry, all the things that I do now. And I thought, I'm going to try and have a go at this. It's flexible hours. I can do it alongside my full-time study as well. It's working from home. It's completely remote. So I went for it. I got it. A small team of us, which grew over the years as well. And then I ended up staying. And because that job gave me the flexibility to work on different projects and to freelance in certain ways, my other areas grew from that. And I just found 1 year turned into 2, turned into 3. And then before I knew it, 5 years down the line, having done completely different jobs and heading in completely different career paths, I haven't gone back. And funnily enough, though, on occasion, I still do go back and teach at that lovely village school that saved me as well. And that's why I still have my little fix of those little gorgeous faces, but I don't have the toxicity I experienced in other places. So I made sure I just picked the elements of my career and of the life I want rather than the life I feel that I have to do.
Perfect. Now here's one. You ready, Sarah? She's a voiceover artist. I know. I am massively intrigued. Now, I know it's not a career I think I could go into because I really am an acquired taste.
Yes, you
Oh,
could. You'll be
come on.
surprised.
Jesus, I've only got one tone and that's normally full on. Right. How'd you get into being a voiceover artist?
I kind of fell into it. So before I was a teacher, I was a children's theatre actress. So I'd always done voices, characters, accents. So that didn't bother me. I could use my voice in different ways. So it was part of so I worked for a website, and the website were making a cartoon series, and they wanted actors to play the characters. Now, my husband's also an actor. He was a teacher as well, and he's also an actor. So he churned our spare room into, you can see part of it like next to me with the microphone set up and everything. Part of our spare room is a recording studio. And he used to always say to me, you'd be really good at this, Leanne. You'd be really good. With your background, you've got a similar background to me. You do all the voices, you're really confident. You play characters. And I was like, oh yeah, I can't do that. Anyway, we had all the equipment. I taught myself how to use it, and we taught ourselves how to edit, how to record to an industry level. So when they advertised at the company I work for, I thought, I'm going to apply. I'm going to audition. Got the job on the cartoon series. Loved it. And then I thought, I'm actually okay at this. I'm going to try it. I'm going to have a go at it and try and do freelance and try and, get out there and become a professional voiceover artist. So that's where it kind of started. And then we got our home studio set up. I recorded some voice demo reels. I put myself on some voiceover platforms and started auditioning, and it just went from there.
I love it. And this was the interesting thing because obviously I go very, very starstruck at this point, Sarah. I'm like, have you got an agent? Because I was thinking maybe some of our listeners might think, well, this is something I'm interested in. It might be acting, whatever. Do you need an agent, Leanne?
No, not necessarily. I have an agent, but most of the jobs I get myself, to be honest. You just put yourself on the right groups, put yourself on the platforms, teach yourself how to use the equipment, and go for it. And I always say, take every opportunity that's given to you. And that's what I've done for the last 5 years. So even before I had a voiceover agent, I had clients, I had regular work, and I actually secured myself an advert as well without an agent. So it's of course you can do it. You don't need one at all.
Do you want me to let you into a secret? I know my friend so well, and I'm watching her face right now. She's just in seventh heaven. What she's actually forgotten is she's a part of this podcast. She's listening to it as if it's a podcast, aren't you, Sarah? You're just you're that transfixed, right? She's not even listening as a podcast host. She's listening. Am I right, Dunwood? You're just listening, aren't you?
Yeah. And I'm also thinking of somebody that said to me a couple of years ago, do you remember after I did a training module at work and I'd done the voiceover on it, and somebody came to me and went, "You've missed your vocation as a newsreader."
Yeah, you could deliver all sorts of but isn't it fascinating what she's saying, Sarah, what Leanne's...
Yeah, but it goes to the root of, as well, a lot of what we say to people. There aren't any barriers out there. Yeah, there might be if you want to be a brain surgeon, but think about what we do with this, with the podcast. We've taught ourselves a lot of this. Yes, we've got a superb producer, but everything is, there's so much out there that you can learn, self-teach, you can do by trial, and just try it.
I think if you're creative, because I remember when we were deciding how we were going to do the format of the podcast, we knew we didn't just want it to be a chronological story. We wanted to start with an overview, take the person back to their last day, then walk backwards through their career. It was just like subverting the structure of a narrative. Then we wanted the thrival part. And then I didn't call it sliding doors at first, did I, Sarah? What did I say? I want them to end with a magic moment. And then because I am obsessed with sliding doors, I said, right, and we're going to end up with a sliding doors moment. Now, that was trial and error with our format. We didn't know anything about podcasting. We didn't know what was going to appeal, but we were creative and we had a purpose. And I think if you can find your purpose, if you can find your joy, and you can monetize it and be doing it for the greater good, it's brilliant. It's interesting that when we do interview guests, I don't know if you got this, Sarah. When we interview guests, normally, Leanne, it's like a podcast of two halves. They talk about their experience. They're very tonally low beat, possibly monotone in places, find it difficult to pull it all together. And then when they talk about the thrival, they come alive. I didn't get that from you. I think you're healed to a certain extent, that you could look back on it because you've had so much joy since you've left, that you can actually look back on this now and see it for the hilarity it is, because you're almost Teflon to it. I could be wrong, but are you out of it now to the point where you're untouchable?
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head, to be honest. I think everything happens for a reason. I'm a big believer in that. The universe tells you certain things. If I hadn't have gone through those experiences, I don't think I'd be where I am today, to be honest. It's made me stronger. It's made me more resilient. It made me realize what I want and what I don't want in life as well. And it's made me stronger in achieving that happiness for yourself as well. So where I stand now, I love what I do. I love the career I've made, and just taking chances as well, and grasping opportunities and not being afraid to. And I say that to anyone. I always say to them, never let anyone dull your sparkle, and take every opportunity that comes your way. Psycholinguistics, I couldn't even spell it when I applied for it. I don't know what it was. I did it. I did a year of it. Voiceover, I thought that's just for famous people. I can't do that. I don't know where to start. I've now been doing it for 5 years and have a list of clients. Anyone can do anything they want to do. They really can. Everything is achievable.
Oh, that's beautiful. And am I right in thinking as well that you're developing something with phonics now? This is maybe your latest project. We don't know anything about this, okay, because you haven't done it properly yet. So this is something that's in your pot of stuff to do. What are you planning on doing with phonics?
So this is my passion project, and this is linked from everything that I've gone through and all the experience. It's kind of come all together. So this has come from the whole stamping on creativity and teaching. I'm literally like, no, we're not. This is what I'm going to make. This is what my skill is. This is what my strength is. I'm going to go out there. And ironically, in the last 5 years, I've got the skills now to create audio, to professionally create video, to professionally create my own YouTube channel. I know how to do it. And I have over 10 years experience as a teacher to deliver that as well. And what started the idea of is when I used to chat to my friends who are still in teaching, and they would say to me, there's nothing we can get the kids to watch to help us with the sounds and with phonics. Lots of it's American content. And I said, well, I'm experienced in video creation, voiceover, and do you want me to do a couple of things for you? So it started as me doing a couple of videos, and I popped them on YouTube, started developing a little channel and sent links to them, my friends, and they still use them to this day. I've been doing it for over a year now. And one thing that used to echo in my brain when sometimes I used to go in and cover teach, and the teacher used to say to me, oh, it's death by PowerPoint. It's so boring, but this is what we've got to do. Why? Why do we have to do that? You don't have to do it that way. So that is what spurred me.
Coming back to that, why do we have to fill 31 water bottles?
Yeah.
Why do we have to do that? If you push back and say, no, we don't have to do it like that.
No.
So you're working on your material.
Yeah.
You'll be launching it across whatever platform you do. I just love it because it's my passion project.
Yeah.
Well, your content creation you're passionate about. Your voiceover you're passionate about. If this is your passion project, my God.
I'm busy.
I just think, yeah, but it's amazing what you're doing. And I think I talked to you about it. Your energy's spot on. Absolutely optimistic and positive. So with that in mind, let's have your sliding doors moment, my love. Let's have, because there's a lot gone on since you've left, because you left in 2020.
Yeah.
So we're coming up to 5 years. There will be a lot to pick from. What have you chosen for your sliding doors moment?
So this one it's dedicated to my mum, actually, because she's been there. She's my biggest cheerleader. She's been there through everything. She's the one that took the photo when I was 6. And I was living with her when I did my teacher training because I had no money. And she would make my dinners. She'd do my washing. When I was exhausted, I didn't have to worry about anything. So my mum looked after me. And she was there when I got my first job, on the phone. And, I owe her a lot. And she used to live down south. And then I moved to Essex to live with my husband. And she's from the northeast. So she then moved back up north. And last year she lost her dad, my granddad. And she wasn't coping well with it at all. And I found out through one of her friends contacted me and said, your mum's not coping very well. Is there any chance you can go and see her? So within hours, packed my laptop, packed my dog, and I did the 5-hour drive to the northeast to go and stay with my mum to look after her, because I thought, I owe you this, Mum. You've been with me the whole journey. You've looked after me when I've been through highs and lows of teaching. She was there when I said, Mum, I don't think I can do it anymore, and she was like, go for it. I believe in you. Do what makes you happy. I know you'll make a success of it. So it was a full turnaround moment, really. So for all the years she looked after me, it was my chance to repay the favour and look after her. And I thought I couldn't have done that if I was in a classroom. I wouldn't have been allowed.
I love that. And it's really really powerful that you talk about your mum, because Sarah and I are going to do a special episode, and we're going to do a special episode about my sliding doors moments. So I'm not giving anything away. You might have noticed that I just turned into a complete emotional wreck. What a brilliant sliding doors moment, because to be able to just, without any guilt, without any hesitation, get in that car for 5 hours and know you are doing absolutely the right thing. Was she pleased to see you when you turned up?
Oh, burst into tears. It was amazing. And I went, Mum, I've cleared my diary. I can work from home. I can work from yours. Let's go on dog walks. Let's go for lunch, and it was lovely. And she was just like, thank you. She just didn't have words. She was like, I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you so much for doing this.
And that's what it's all about. So what an episode, Leanne. What an absolute belter. 2-parter. So thank you so much for what you shared with us in part 1. Thank you for the inspiration of part 2. We're going to drop all of your links down below so people can contact you, get in touch with you, celebrate with you. And it's been what has potentially been one of the most jaw-dropping episodes for us, but one of the most powerful, powerful episodes of The Pit Pony. So on behalf of myself and Sarah, I just want to say thank you for giving up your time for us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And also a big thank you to you two. You've done so much for the profession. So thank you.
Bless you. Bless you and goodbye. Thanks, Leanne. Bye, love. Bye-bye. Well, told you you'd like her energy, didn't I?
Yeah. Yeah, she's like a shot of caffeine.
She is. And I really wrangled with certain things because when she was talking about what she went through, I thought, right, okay, this is exactly what we were talking about the other night on the phone. That hopefully at some point, these Pit Pony episodes will become mini case studies for people who are decision makers to actually listen to. And actually, it was so unbelievable what she was talking about, so utterly unbelievable, that you think, all right, if that was to be put into an ITV drama, that would get slammed because people would go, that would never happen. Kind of stuff is nonsense. But it's going on, innit?
When she was talking about cliques, so I went to an all-girls school, and I've still got fabulous friends and things from those times. I'm very privileged in that regard, but talking about cliques took me back to that, and then took me back to how as adults does that continue to happen in a work environment.
I think it's human nature, isn't it? It's the very, very worst of human nature in a societal sense. She didn't have a sporting chance in that second school. It had been decided before she even set foot. They'd probably seen her at interview, or the head teacher had committed the worst crime possible. We've got somebody coming in. She's brilliant. She's vibrant. She's right. Cards marked from the get-go then, isn't it? Because it's all about threat. It's all about jealousy. And it's not uncommon that the staff are the problem. It's not just teaching.
No.
It's like the board, isn't it? It's human nature.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. And I think this is a question that's asked in the group. Is it just teaching? No. It's the NHS. It's police. It's in businesses. This, soon as you start putting bigger and bigger groups of people together, it's going to happen, isn't it? But it's very difficult to process how it happens, particularly in a profession that is a caring profession that is about nurturing children. Then let's mirror what we expect and what we won't tolerate from children. Let's mirror that in what happens with the adults. Yeah.
I think a lesson from life, if you look at those 4 schools in which she did, I think, she did 4 years in her first school, 5 years, I think, in her first school. She moved to the one that was problematically, stayed a year. Then she went to the lovely village school for 5 years. Then she only stayed for a full academic year when it was going wrong. She didn't go back in the September. She got an exit plan happening. At that point, she didn't stay trapped. And I think that was a message of hope for me. If it's happening, get out.
That's massive for me, because I think there's so much guilt associated with leaving a teaching role, and I think you and I are both in the position we've got sons who are in their early to mid 20s, and they don't operate like that. If it's not right, they find another job. They're not bothered about what it looks like in terms of on a CV. But I think there's something about teaching where we feel guilt, where we feel honor bound to see it through. I go back to Johnny's episode about integrity, but why should you stay somewhere where clearly you are not wanted?
I told you, didn't I, the other week, Jamie's got that interim job at Morrison's stacking shelves. And when he got his shifts for the weekend, for the Christmas break, he went, bloody hell, Mum, they've got me New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve till late. I've got Christmas Day off, and then they want me in first thing on Boxing Day. I'm not doing that. I'm not putting up with that. That's out of order. Now, instead of saying, but I'll put up with it, I'll go ahead and do it. Or instead of saying, I'm going to jack it in and I'm voting with my feet, he went, I want my contract. What was my notice period and what does it say about Christmas and holidays? Now, that's our Jamie is pots for rags is 3 sheets to the wind. You know that. But even at the age of 22, and our Jamie went, contract. Like when we've talked about part-time, what's my contract? And there is that fearlessness about the younger generation where they go, no, thank you. You can't do that.
And you see that, again, I refer to people who I have worked with is still very much in my world very significantly, who I know have gone after a half term. It's not right. I'm off. Got another job. And there's not an inkling of what will people think and what will the school think. And I just want to, I think it's Mel Robbins, the let them theory about what will people think. And I think needs to be a bit more of that. It's not about what those people think, what's right for you. And if that job isn't working for you, whether it's teaching in our world or not, go.
It's just a job.
It's
go. Just a job. And when it's not right, it's just a job. When it is right, it's everything.
Yeah.
So that was the clique element within her world, and that's horrible. It takes a strong person to not use expressions like my face didn't fit in, they didn't like me, I wasn't their cup of tea, because that's putting it on you. She went, nah, you're wrong. I'm all right. I'm a good person. You don't like me. I'm threatened by me. Off I go. And she was savvy enough to contact that old school. So she had that spark within her, didn't she? I don't have to go to the Times Ed. Oh, there's no jobs going at that school. She created an opportunity for herself. And I think that's mirrored in what she's done after she's gone, isn't it? That she's gone, I'm going to take my back bedroom and create a studio, and I'm going to create a phonics course, and I'm going to go into content creation. I'm going to create my own opportunities because I'm not permission-led. I don't have to ask for permission to stay. I don't have to ask for permission to go. And I liked that about her. But good God, what she went through for that year in that academy with that level of microaggression, micromanagement, control, bullying. I mean, I could not have sustained that job if every week I felt every single kid's word was being read, every handout was being scrutinised. I'll tell you what I would have done if that was me going through that. I'd have took it out on the kids. Why you not underline the bloody title? Get that out again. Do you know? And that would have just utterly come down, and I would have took it out on the kids. I know I would.
And that wouldn't have been a deliberate action. That would have been that's fight or flight response. It absolutely. Let's go to the nonsense of sticking worksheets in when your kids are 5 years old, and let's go to the nonsense of that wasn't guillotined properly. Get a grip. Get a bloody grip.
I do this thing when I'm tutoring, and I get the kids to set up 3 folders because they've all got like Microsoft Office accounts and everything at school, because every kid's got one at school anyway. And I say, right, set up 3 folders for your English, maths and science. And at the end of every session, screenshot your notes, store it in your short folder, screenshot your notes. These are kids who live with this.
Yeah.
Not books. And I've said to them, when you're studying for your GCSE, go through all your year 10 books and screenshot everything within it.
Yeah. Take a photo of everything and upload it.
Correct.
There you go.
And that's me trying to cobble together technology. If we're still gluing and sticking, filling up water bottles, the whole thing was nonsense. It was absolute. It's like I talk about, the end of Bagpuss, where they keep pushing that same chocolate biscuit. Those mice.
Yeah.
I mean,
We will fix it.
Yeah, we're aging ourselves massively there, pal. But if it's absolute nonsense, it's nonsense. But it was the way, what she did that was different, because there's so many members of our group who are experiencing this. What she did that was different, she didn't take what was the traditional route. And the traditional route for anybody going under that was work-related stress. So what they do is they go, I can't function. I've made myself ill. They have that breakdown on the bathroom floor with their husband. They're crying in front of the parents. And then rightly so, they go off with work-related stress. And at that point, it almost shifts. They're not coping. They've not got the resilience. Everybody else is all right, but they folded. So she was slightly different in that respect as well. To think that if I'd have been doing a break duty and I was being filmed and I was then going to be pulled up if I wasn't in the right space, that would have impacted me massively mentally. I wouldn't have been able to, I'd have been paranoid. The other thing was, at what point do you not lose your SHIT with a head teacher who says you didn't factor in a TA dealing with an accident on a lesson plan? It would have been, are you nuts?
I know, and that's the it's the sadness of people listening to this, not watching this, because I think that was a point where my jaw did hit the floor. For me, the bit where I was really shocked was where she said the books were slammed on the floor because they weren't good enough, and the little devil in me really wanted to say to her, well, I hope you did that with your resignation letter and slammed it on the floor so she had to pick it up. It's deliberate humiliation.
But that's not the first time we've heard it, is it? Johnny Millard had books slammed down.
Yeah.
At what point does it then, and they slammed the door? And, that's really...
It's the tally, isn't it?
It is. It's really bordering into, it's not just microaggressions or passive aggressions. We're now moving into physical aggression.
Yeah, it's overt and it's DV-like.
Correct.
It's coercive control. It's doing just enough to fly under the radar that somebody is going to roll their eyes and go, what? They slammed the door, did they?
Yeah, but here's the difference. We understand that it's very difficult to quantify it. It's even more difficult to then take all of these micro moments and say, this is how it made me feel. She had bloody evidence from ECTs who said, use it. They've been slacking you off. She had another witness who said, this isn't the first time this has happened. So it wasn't just her and the head. She had other people prepared to stand up for her, and still that wasn't good enough. So what more do you actually need when you're not even on your own?
No. And I think that goes back to what you said about what could the other routes have been. Well, it could have been to take it to formal grievance and get it to a tribunal, because at that point that evidence would stand, and that feedback from ECTs about what's going on in a chat group or blah blah, it would. But it's then whether you've got the and I think she was absolutely right. No, it's not right for me. I'm off. I'm not putting up with this. It's lunacy.
And I get that because actually the best thing I can do to save myself is exit, because I'm not going to be the person who brings this all toppling down, because you're fighting a losing battle. But eventually what I tend to find is karma gets them in the end. These kind of head teachers don't stay for long, because they either get ousted because they're just an emotional wreck themselves, because that's not normal behaviour. That's signalling that something's very, very wrong there. And then I get messages from members of the group that say, do you remember when you were talking to me about that toxic head teacher? She's disappeared. And they don't mean bundled into the back of a van by the education police. What they actually mean is they've just gone off into the ether.
Probably on a similar settlement agreement that staff that they've exited have been sent out on.
Or they pop they pop up as an Ofsted inspector a couple of years
Oh.
later. You know, you just never know what happens with these people, do you? They get into all walks of life. So it was belting. It was really, really good, and she was good. She was strong, and it was clear that she wasn't broken.
No.
She wasn't broken.
And used her experience. And what's lovely is to speak to somebody who still fundamentally loves teaching, still loves education, and that, I think, is the sadness with so many people that exit out, is they do still love the work with kids, the teaching element of it, and it's everything else that sits around it. And fair play to her that what she's then doing is multiple things, one of which is, as she said, her joy project about phonics and teaching, and fair play to her.
But I think she's able to do that because she's put the past in the past.
Yeah.
I still speak to people, and it's not just about teaching. They can't let go of what is a perceived injustice. Even 5, 10 years, 15 years down the line, they're pinpointing everything that's gone wrong in their lives to a singular incident, or a person who bullied them, or an incident that happened at school. And I think that was it. It's going back to what you said about the Mel Robbins. Not only let them, but let it go. Because she talked about having to relive what she was doing because she was on the podcast. But she'd really put that behind her in 2020 and moved on. And again, that break, going back into education and doing a master's, helped. But there was no evidence. There's no evidence in that particular podcast that she'd not got over it. Johnny said at the end, didn't he, I'd love to go back and I'd love to tell him now, because he hadn't quite got to where Leanne had in that respect. He will. We all do in the end. Well, hopefully we all do in the end. But I loved her. I loved her energy. I loved how even when she was telling the most horrendous stories, we were laughing.
Yeah. At the ridiculousness of it.
How incredulous the whole thing was. But I think it would make a great episode for somebody who has got a talent and what they love. And we work with a particularly great guy. We work with Mike Roberts. Making Digital Real, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's his, right, Making Digital Real. And Mike's not a teacher. He came out of the corporate world. And he's self-taught. He's self-taught in video. He's self-taught on LinkedIn. He's self-taught on podcasting. But what's he like? He's like a Springer Spaniel with his enthusiasm for us, isn't he?
He's great. He's absolutely great. He's so knowledgeable. We go at him with crazy ideas, and he'll either go, yeah, that's completely doable, or he'll let us down gently. And you know me, I've got a soft spot for him because we share the same musical taste and absolute geekery for technology. But he's amazing. He is amazing. And he's not just a podcast guy either, is he? He's multi-talented.
And also, I'm going to say this, because we've got that good relationship, because we've got our WhatsApp group going on. I mean, he's even messaging us New Year's Eve, telling us how many tens of thousands of downloads we've got and all that kind of stuff. And I hope he listens to this. He's cheap. He's actually, okay, he's reasonable. He's reasonable.
Yeah, I was going to say he's completely reasonably priced. And what I love about him is he doesn't take the mick. Mike doesn't take the mick in terms of the time that he takes to do things. He's really good value for what he does. So yeah,
but it reminds me of Hannah. That's why I talked about Mike then, because he's doing something he loves, and he got himself out the corporate rat race. That's what Hannah's done, gone into creativity. So if you're sat there, you don't even need to be the drama teacher or a primary school teacher. If there's something you love that you are obsessed with, it might be chess, it might be whatever, go and find what you love and to do something with it. Because I think that's possibly why that's possibly why Leanne is in the place she's in because every day she's doing something she loves. And I think that's possibly a lesson to take out of this. She's not just gone into another job. She's not done that. She just loves what she does. So, right, it is January. It's cold. I don't know when this is going to be released. It's Sunday. Got to iron some school shirts the way you do, the glamour of our lives.
Not for me. I've just got to go downstairs and see what state the husband has left the living room in after plastering it.
God love him. God love Lord Dunwood. Right, okay, I've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed the recording that we've done recently. I think our listeners are going to still be pleased with the quality of what we're putting out for them, because this will let you into a secret. This is our joy project.
Completely.
We love talking to people. We love providing inspiration for our gang. We love working in our Life After Teaching group, which can be the echo chamber of despair. And the Pit Pony podcast is the beautiful antidote to all of our group members who are struggling at the moment. So, thank you ever so much, my friend. Thank you,
welcome.
Lady Dunwood. And as they say, I'll see you on the other side, my friend.
Tra.
Thank you so much for staying with us throughout another great episode. And on behalf of myself, Sarah Dunwood, and all at the production team, we appreciate your continued support. If you wish to contact me directly for a support session or a clarity call for your next steps, please find my link in the comments below. See you soon.